Teaching the future tense to English learners. There are three basic ways to talk about the future. I will meet my friend. I'm meeting my friend. I'm going to meet my friend. Now, usually these are three ways, and you can split your lessons into three separate lessons, but I'm going to cover it in one lesson. I will quickly show my students examples of these and then properly start the lesson afterwards. So for example, I write down on the board, she will study tonight. Will she study tonight? Yes, she will. No, she won't. Be plus ing. She is studying tonight. Is she studying tonight? Yes, she is studying. No, she isn't studying. Be plus going to. She is going to study tonight. Is she going to study tonight? Yes, she's going to study. No, she isn't going to study. I show these to my students and I practice it with them. What will you do after class? What are you doing tonight? What are you going to do this weekend? So I ask a few students to elicit answers from them. Maybe I write some of their answers on the board, and if they make a mistake, I gently correct them. Then after that, I write down 3 questions they need to ask their partner. And I want them to ask these questions and answer them in the same way so that they can practice these structures. What will you do tonight? And students have to say, I will study. I will watch TV. I give them a couple of examples. What are you doing this weekend? I'm meeting my friends. I'm playing video games. What are you going to do next vacation? I am going to travel. I am going to visit my grandparents. So the students get these 3 questions and they have to ask a partner. Their partner answers and then they switch. Once they're done, I ask each student to tell me something about their partner. What will she do tonight? What is he doing this weekend? What is she going to do next vacation? And I elicit the answers very slowly for them to understand what we're going to practice today. With more advanced students, you can tell them to ask additional questions to get more information. What will you do tonight? I will eat dinner. What will you eat for dinner? Where will you eat dinner? Who will you eat dinner with? How will you eat dinner? I'll eat it with my hands. When will you eat dinner? I will eat dinner at 9 p.m. We have to get our students in the habit of asking follow-up questions because this will help them understand the grammar way better. Here we can see, what will you do tonight? What are you doing this weekend? What are you going to do next vacation? As a follow-up activity, you can ask them to interview 3 different friends. They have to ask their name, what they are doing, and a follow-up question for more information. What will you do tonight? I will study. What subject will you study? Where will you study? And then they write in the extra information. First, let's look at the simple future tense. The future tense in English is used to talk about actions or events that will happen after the present moment. Will plus the base form of the verb. This is the most common way to express the future tense. I will go to the beach tomorrow. She will call you later. They will study for the test next week. In British English, we also say I or we shall instead of will, but mostly we just use will. So I shall meet you tomorrow. We shall see who the winner is. But these days we only use will. I ask the students to change these sentences into the future tense. They watch a movie this weekend. They will watch a movie tonight. I eat lunch at 12 o'clock. I will eat lunch at 12. We go to the beach in summer. We will. She will read a book before bedtime. So remember to tell them, if it's singular, the verb changes just to the base form. So she reads a book. She will read a book. Now we will teach the students about contractions. Instead of saying I will, we can just say I'll. Contractions in the simple future tense involve combining the subject pronoun with the auxiliary verb will or shall to form a shorter, more colloquial version of the expression. I will, I'll. You will, you'll. She will, she'll. It will, it'll. He will, he'll. They will, they'll. We will, we'll. I ask the students to write the correct short form in this activity. She be there later. She'll be there later. Next, questions. Will plus a subject and the basic verb. Will you do your homework? Yes, I will. No, I won't. You can also ask for more information. When will she arrive? Who will she arrive with? So here we have some questions. You can ask them, What will you do tomorrow? When will she arrive at the airport? Who will help us with the project? Where will they go for their vacation? Why will he visit the museum? For negative questions, you can use the same structure but not include not after it. Won't you come to the party? Bob will wash the dishes tonight. Will he wash the dishes tonight? Now, in this activity, you ask the students to change it into the question. Colin will do the housework this week. Will Colin do the housework this week? Next, negatives. Negatives are formed by using the auxiliary verb will with the word not. I will or shall not, and the base form. She will not play tennis, but it's also common to contract will not into she won't play tennis. For example, he will meet us in the park. He won't meet us at the park. They will visit their grandparents. They won't visit their grandparents. Susan will go with you. Susan won't go with you. Ask the students to complete this and then check and make sure each student reads back one of the answers they got. We have to keep our students accountable, so you've always got to ask them to give their answers. Here we've got the present continuous tense. Is, am, are plus ing. I am traveling tomorrow. I'm not traveling tomorrow. Am I traveling? Yes, I am. No, I'm not. I've already made a video just of the present continuous tense, but you can also use it in the future. Sam have lunch. Sam is having lunch at the cafeteria. Ask the students to do some of these examples together. Before we start the activity, I practice with the students by showing them the action verb, and each student has to give me an answer. Where are they living? They are living in a house. What is she doing? She is remembering. A fun activity to do is to look at this schedule. Students have to ask one another a question about their schedule. For example, student 1 can ask, what are you doing at 10 a.m.? I am going to the hairdresser. Students can take turns to ask each other a question, usually make it about 4, so they know how many questions they should ask. Be going to. Be going to is used to express things already decided in the near future. He is going to fly to Paris tomorrow. Or to express intention. You like singing. You are going to be a singer. When there is evidence that something will definitely happen, be careful. You're going to fall over. In the affirmative form, we can say, I'm going to sell my car. You're going to sell your bike. It is going to rain. In the shortened form, we can say, he's going to. It's going to. The negative, I'm not going to sleep. He's not going to cry. We are not going to smoke. Or in the shortened form, I'm not going to. She isn't going to. It isn't going to. We aren't going to. When you ask a question, it can be, am I going to get the job? Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Are you going to watch it? Yes, you are. No, you aren't. Is he or she going to buy it? Yes, he is. No, she isn't. Are we going to finish? Yes, we are. No, we aren't. You can ask the students to practice this with a partner. They take turns to give the answer. Hector is going to visit his friends in France. Barbara is going to tidy her flat. Julie and Anne are going to see a good film at the cinema. After the students are done, ask each one to give you an answer. Then ask them to change it into a question, and then ask them to change it into a negative so that they practice all these different ways. Here is another example. I show this to the students and I ask them to answer. Molly is going to milk a cow. Robert is going to fall off the ladder. Final activity. Here is a board game. Put students into groups and they take turns asking each other a question. So let's say you start over here at start. What job will you do in the future? I will be a baker. What food will you eat tomorrow? I'll eat a pizza. What are you studying tomorrow? I'm studying math. So the students can take turns to ask each other questions so that they can practice. It's a little bit difficult at the start, but soon they will get the hang of it and they will grow in confidence when talking about the future. There is also a nice reading here about the future, Weekend with Books. with some comprehension questions. There is also a dialogue that they can practice with a partner. I usually let them read the dialogue and then switch once, and then one pair has to read it for the class. We usually play some kind of game, and then there are also 20 questions if you want to practice some more. We can do some TPR activities like charades, where they're going to act something out and the other students have to guess in the future tense. So I'm going to walk my dog. Have students draw various future activities on paper and then hand them out, and the students have to act and the other students can guess. There are some more activities you can use here: future career fair, a time capsule, plan a trip, future inventions, predict a story's ending, a future fortune teller, what will happen in the future. A fun activity for students to practice the difference between the three grammatical structures is musical chairs. So you put 3 chairs down. One can be will, be plus ing, be plus to going to. The students take turns to sit on that chair and they have to make a sentence.